order to bind his relationship with his brothers? Or does Yosef Chas v'Shalom want to get back at his brothers? This is a very big human drama of Yosef and his brothers that I see that my dear father, Rabbi Horowitz, writes an article, and I really want to treat this matter. Let's together read Pasuk Bet and Gimel of chapter 50. Vayitzav Yosef et avadav et harofim. Actually, I want to skip this, and I want to go to, I'm sorry for the mistake. Here I am. Okay, gentlemen, verse 14, chapter 50. I'm sorry. Vayashov Yosef Mitzrayim. Yosef returns from Mitzrayim. Hu ve'echa v'cholo lemito. There's a return back from Mitzrayim. Likbor et aviv, after he finished burying his father. Acharei kavro et aviv. And now, the new drama or episode begins. Terva, verse 15. Vayiru achei Yosef ki met avihem. Vayomru lo. Vayomru, I'm sorry. Lu yistemenu Yosef. Vashiv yashiv lan et kol ha'ra'ah asher gamalnu otam. When we read this pasuk, and it says Vayiru achei Yosef, okay? It says Vayiru achei Yosef. You ask yourself, Lirot, what did they see? Can you answer the question? Without looking at Rashi, this pasuk poses a major problem. Vayiru achei Yosef ki met avihem. Little translation, and the brothers of Yosef, they saw that their father died. No one has a problem?
Wouldn't they know before?
Of course they knew before. Ariel raises an obvious question. And therefore, why does the Torah say Vayiru? Is it an obvious question or not?
Yes.
Okay. And then they say Vayomru. And they said, what's not clear to you now? We had question 1, we're up to question number 2.
Amen.
Question number 2 is not the word amen, but what do you want to say? What Vayomru? Little translation, and they said. What problem do you have with this?
They said to who?
Oh, Amos, beautiful. Who did they say to? Doesn't say who they spoke to. And then it says, Lu Yistamenu Yosef. Lu is not like in most places, halavai, that it be like this way. You've heard of the word halavai? It's not halavai, it's pen, pe nun sofit, lest, fearful of.
So
That Yosef, what?
Sorry, which pasuk?
15.
In Pasuk
Yeah,
50.
that's right.
Lu Yistamenu Yosef. Perhaps he might be hating us. Vashev Yashivlan, and he'll restore back to us, or give back to us, et kol hara, all the bad, asher gamalnu oto. Okay. So here this new drama opens up with the words Vayiru achei Yosef. And of course, like Ariel said, what novelty is the Torah telling us that they saw that their father died? They all witnessed a tremendous funeral that took, who knows, maybe months of traveling. Kings of Canaan and others joined and saw the ceremony. It was a big national thing. So our question is the word ri'iyah, lir'ot. Is it like we think ri'ah is physical visioning of the eyes? However, there are times that in the text we see that the words, where is our possibly ratio? We don't know. We'll use this. Okay, but there are times that the shoresh, resh, aleph, hey, does not mean a physical thing, but it means, like in many other languages, realizing, perceiving. I now understand. Do you see what I say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I purposely said that in English. Do you see what I say? What does that question mean? Do you see what I say? Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay? So it could mean attention, realization, understanding. We see that in several places. What is on the brothers' minds?
They are afraid. Completely afraid.
They're afraid of Yosef
Because
getting
they
back
think
at
that-
them.
Yeah.
And why are they afraid? Didn't Yosef treat them so wonderfully for the last 17 years?
Yes. But they think that he has been so kindful only because their father was around.
Alive. I want to share with you two midrashim, historical midrashim, that the account of these midrashim could really mean that they took place. And where is it in Rashi? Look in Rashi, Pesach Tet Vav. I want to read this Rashi.
Tet Vav
Is verse 15. Vayiru achei Yosef ki meit avihem. Rashi asks, Mahu vayiru? What is it that they saw? Rashi is asking the question that you asked Ariel. And Rashi answers, Hikiru b'mitato etzel Yosef. Literal translation. They recognized the father's death by Yosef. What do you mean they recognized? Vayiru here is not to see, but to understand intellectually. Rashi adds, Shayu regilim lis'odimo al shulchano shel Yosef. I'm adding the words until now. When they would have meals together, they would sit at the same table with Yosef. Vaya mikarvan, and he would bring them closer to himself. Bishvil kvod aviv, for the honor of the father. Umishemeit Yaakov, but from the time that Yaakov passed away, lo kirvan, he didn't bring them closer. I have a footnote in this Rashi, that this Rashi is a midrashic source. The Rashi is vague, without details. It could be that Rashi is paraphrasing, not exactly quoting the midrash. And I want to explain to you why by sharing with you two midrashim about the feelings, the complex or conscious matters the brothers have. Listen to this midrash. One midrash really says that when Yaakov was alive, like this part of the midrash, the Rashi's brought, and they were sitting together, their father sat at the head of the table. What they call the dais? Is that the word in English?
I'm not sure.
The head table. What is it called in English? The dais? No, you don't know what I'm talking about. He would sit at the head table. The father. Okay, but when Yaakov is not longer there, who should be sitting at the head of the table now?
Yosef,
Why?
because he took his place.
He's the viceroy. He's the second in command in the entire Egyptian empire. But that would be when they're in the land of Canaan. But now Yosef, in this last chapter, heard the bracha that Yehuda received. Have you read it already? The blessing that Yehuda received? What is the blessing that Yehuda received? Jacob, do you remember? Did you read the last chapter? What was the blessing that Yaakov gave to his son Yehuda? No?
I don't remember.
To be a ruler.
To be a ruler. Lo yasur shevet. Shevet means scepter. The scepter shall not be removed from Yehuda. Now that Yosef heard that Yehuda received the bracha from his father, that everyone will admit to you, everyone will bow down to you, Yosef has a problem. He's debating. He says in his heart, the Midrash says, how can I sit at the head table? Shouldn't Yehuda, who's going to be the king amongst us, be sitting there? And if I do put Yehuda at the head table, then what am I doing to my kingdom, to my ruling? I'm lowering the honor of where I'm supposed to be, because he's number 2 after Paro. Now, can a king, according to halacha, Jewish tradition, can a king give up his honor? Melech shemachal al kvodo eino machul. A melech is not allowed to give up his honor. A rabbi, a Talmid Chacham, if he wants to, bakasha, sit in the rabbi's seat. You consider, he doesn't mind. I don't mind as if I'm a rabbi, right? Let's say just theoretically I'm a rabbi, I'm a teacher. So if, I would say, we're not supposed to sit in our rabbi's chair. We're not supposed to contradict him. We're not supposed to interrupt him. But if the rabbi pardons his honor, you're allowed to what? Sit in his chair. Interrupt. If he says, you're allowed to do it. A king, though, a king of Israel, he can't give up his honor. Why? Because the honor of the king of Israel is the honor of Hashem. The honor of Hashem, no one can pardon God's honor. What does Yosef deliberate and say? How can I sit at the head of the table? On the one hand, Yosef is supposed to be the king amongst our brothers. On the other hand, if I do put him there to sit at the head of the table and we're sitting together, I'm lowering my honor. And a king is not allowed to pardon his own honor. What did Yosef go ahead and do according to this midrash? He separated himself from the table. He let Yehuda sit at the head of the table where all the other brothers are. But he, Yosef, sat where? Away, separate. This is one midrash. The brothers, they couldn't know what is the intention of Yosef. And they started evaluating, estimating. All different thoughts are going into their minds. And they're thinking, well, this action of Yosef, separating himself from us, what is it demonstrating from Yosef? That maybe he was okay with us until our father was alive. But now, ever since Abba, Yaakov Avinu, passed away, right now, what is awakening? What is floating, coming up to the surface right now? The hatred that he has for us. It remained where? In his heart. And now, what are we suspecting? Retribution. This is one midrash that explains that Rashi is paraphrasing it, that the brothers again are estimating what is in the heart of
Yosef.
Listen now, please. If this to another midrash, if the first one doesn't awaken their guilt-filling feelings, listen to the second one. In Hebron, the funeral ended. Tremendous funeral. Hebron, to come back to Mitzrayim, means to travel which way?
South.
Right. From the Hebron, Beersheba, Sinai, and we go to Mitzrayim. What did Yosef decide to do? To go northbound. He takes his entire team, his brothers, all the servants, everyone that's with him, and he goes northbound. He passes Shechem, and from Shechem, the Midrash says he went to Dotan. What happened in Dotan?
I remember there was one in the earlier
Is that near
Parshat.
Haifa or something? Or well, Haifa
What happened
is-
in Dotan? We learned about it 3 months.
Tzach.
3 weeks. What?
Tzach.
Is that where the holes were dug? In was around Gerar?
No, Dotan is north. Gerar is going south. Dotan is the area where the brothers put Yosef inside the, what's the word in Hebrew? Bore. Inside the bore. Yosef went back to the bore where he was put in. And the same bore then was filled with what? Snakes and scorpions, and God saved him. 39 years ago, the event happened. He went there and he recited the following bracha. Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, she'asa li, next word. What did God do to me? Nes.
Miracle.
She'asa li nes b'makom hazeh.
At this place here.
Wow. Yosef wants to give thanks to Hashem. He went back there for the sake of heaven, because we, in the course of our lives, every day, have to awaken ourselves and recognize the good that God's doing, even if we're having a difficult day. even if you're not even feeling well, or you lost money, or your girlfriend said, no, we're breaking up, or whatever it is. God is doing chesed with us all the time. I want to show you an example. Are your lungs functioning, sir? Would you prove to us? There you go. Is your liver functioning, thank God, sir?
I think it's okay.
Yeah.
It may have deteriorated over time.
Yeah, he was descended from Soviets.
But your liver, no more drinking vodka. There you go.
What do you mean, no vodka? What do you mean?
That's the
At least let me keep the
Let's
ara.
understand.
Hirsch is smiling. I'm happy. My dear friends, God does nisim with us every day.
That's why
In
it's
fact,
Monday on
you see what the
Monday.
guy with the kippah on you sitting opposite you?
Yes.
Today in the Shemona Esrei, in the Modim, and the blessing of thanks, he said, Al nisecha shebechol yom imano. We're giving thanks to God on the miracles that he's doing with us every day.
Sorry, can you repeat that one more time? Where in this one answer?
The Modim, the blessing of?
Oh, Modim, right? Yeah.
Blessing of thanks.
Yes.
Now, there are many natural miracles that God is doing for us. What happened to Yosef is not a natural miracle.
Yeah.
God saved him from the snakes and scorpions. That was a tremendous miracle. Now, I want to go back to that midrash. The midrash that tells of the account of Yosef going north to Dotan with his brothers, looking for the boar. And they're making a bracha to give thanks. You're the brothers. What's going on in your minds?
I will be extremely scared.
Why, Thomas? Why?
Because I will think I'm supposed to be in the pit now. Yeah, I will be the next.
It's like my turn's next.
Yeah.
Or maybe just I better never meet that place. We make a big mistake why we are here.
What memories are coming back to your mind, Ariel? You're back at this board now.
Wait, am I Yosef?
No, you're the one that put him into the boar. You heard him screaming, "Help me!" and you ignored him.
Yeah.
What's going on in your mind now? You're visiting this boar for the first time in 39 years. What do you
Like
feel?
regret and
Regret. And what do you feel, Russell?
scared.
Regret, fear, sadness.
My dear friends,
We should-
and what are you suspecting? No one expressed any suspicion.
Regarding something you said earlier, a king of Israel cannot give up his honor because they're giving up Hashem's honor? Or
That's
what
right.
was
The
it?
honor of the king of Israel is the honor of Hashem. That's correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the Egyptians will feel disrespect.
Gentlemen, what suspicion might you have? The fear. Can you express yourself?
Yeah, I completely jumped past the suspicion into the fear, but suspicious that he's revisiting all of his past.
And therefore, what might happen, David Adler? What might happen now?
Yosef may take revenge on that.
There you go. I open the beginning of the Midrash. When you do a good deed, listen to me. When you do a good deed and you want to fulfill your obligation to,
Hashem.
Hashem.
you have to be careful that you fulfill your obligation also of your society, of mankind, of your friends. Meaning, before you do any action, even if you have good intentions, you must remember your intentions are revealed to who? Only
Hashem.
Hashem knows your intentions. And therefore, you also have to take into account what might enter the mind of
Others.
the spectators, the people that are with you, that are seeing what you're doing. Here, what do you think the brothers, all of you expressed the fear of retribution, getting back at him. So these two cases of the Midrash that we just brought clearly can implant in the brothers of Yosef the suspicion that, he's going to get back with us. He's not eating with us at the table. And he took us to Dotan to see the place where we put him into the pit. Now, do you understand? Let's go back to the pasuk in verse Tedvav 15. Vayiru achei Yosef. The brothers see. We said realize and understand. Ki met avihem. What do you mean? They know it. Meaning, whatever our relations with our brother Yosef was only because our father was alive. But now that our father is dead, Vayomru. Who can answer the question we asked 15 minutes ago? Vayomru. I think it was Amos's question. To who are they speaking?
To themselves.
Very good. Very good. Vayomru. Hear that there? That's not
moving something.
God is moving the furniture upstairs. I don't think it is. Vayomru, Amos says, I think it works. I saw some of the commentaries say this. In their hearts, in their minds, they're fearful of Lu Yistamenu Yosef. They're not speaking to Yosef. They're speaking to themselves. They're conscious. They know they did a terrible thing. And they've been sorry ever since, especially now. Okay. What do the brothers do? We're going to, you and I, read the next two psukim, namely Tetzayin 16 and 17. I want everyone to read it, and then I want to analyze it together with you. Everyone read 16 and 17.
16 and 17?
That's right, sir.
Yeah, I have a question.
1 second. I want you to read it.
Oh, it's a cliffhanger. Oh, very nice. This is very good literature.
Keep on reading.
I reached the end.
Commandment.
Actually, this is also 17.
Rabbi, I have a question.
Let me just finish. I want to write something on the board, please.
Sure.
Son of the fish. Elokei Avdei Avicha. Son of the fish. Avdei Elokei Avicha. That's enough. Okay. Would you like to raise a question first?
Yes. So given like in Pasuk 15, we just kind of talked about how brothers are concerned about the retribution.
No, it's kosher. Check it out. It's in memory of my father. Go ahead.
Even in like Pasuk 15, we were just talking about like retribution, that the brothers are concerned about that from Yosef. Would it be wrong to think that maybe like I'm not saying they're lying, but like maybe this is a bluff to keep them safe from Yosef, to say that they're
if you can back that up with the rest of the psukim, then maybe your theory can work. But I'm going to prove to you right now
that's wrong.
it's not close.
Okay.
Gentlemen, we talked about the real conscious that they have. They know they did wrong, and they suspect, according to actions of Yosef that we recorded in the Midrash, the basis of their suspicion. We know that Yosef, though, did things l'shem shamayim. He didn't sit at the table with it because he's not allowed to pardon his honor. He took them to Dotan because what's in his heart? What does he really want to do?
Thanks.
Thank Hashem.
Thanks, Hashem.
He's now in Eretz Yisrael. I mean, he's not going to be in Eretz Yisrael for who knows ever. And he hasn't been in Israel for a long time. He wants to go and say thank you to Hashem. We once went to a friend's wedding. We're traveling in the Jordan Valley. I had two daughters in the car. They weren't married yet. And I'm in the Jordan Valley Road. And it's a very Now it's narrow. It's only one lane in each direction. We're going around a bend. A car with a wagon attached to it, with tarp roof over the wagon. All of a sudden, the wagon is in the next lane opposite me, and the tarp starts coming towards me. An accident's about to happen. I was able to drive the car to the right. The tarp only flies off the wagon and hits my front windshield. And then seconds later, the car stops miraculously on the side of the road without going into any poles or anything like that. God saved our lives. Okay? We didn't go to the wedding that night. We were in an ambulance going to the hospital to check out if we're okay. Every time we go by that area of the Jordan Valley Road in that area, we make a bracha to thank God for making a miracle. Shasali nes b'makom hazeh. That's what Yosef went. Okay. Do the brothers talk to Yosef? Yes or no?
Isn't that
No.
message?
Vayitzavu el Yosef. They're not going to Yosef. Number one, they're sending a
Messenger.
shaliach. Do you see that in the words?
Yeah.
Vayitzavu el Yosef leimor. The messenger, leimor meaning, what is his job? Leimor.
To speak.
He has to go ahead and speak and say the following message. What does he say? Avicha tziva. Your father, you're the special son. He's giving him honor. Avicha tziva lifnei moto, before his death, sang. What? Everyone read with me. Leave your phones now. Verse 17. Ko tomeru liYosef. This is what your father said to us, right? This is what you should say to Yosef. Ana, please. Sana. Sana is forgive. But again, which word? Na. Which means
Please.
please. It's the second time. What should you forgive? Notice. Pesha v'chatatam. What's the difference? Who learned? We learned about Yom Kippur or Tshuva. What's the difference between Pesha, a crime, and a Chet, a sin?
Pesha has like intent behind it.
That's right. And Chet is Bishogeg, unwanting, an unwanting sin. Oh my gosh, I forgot today's Shabbos. I put on the lights. Or I just arrived off the boat. I didn't know there's such a thing called Shabbat. So when I violate Shabbat, it's called a Chet. Whereas Pesha, I know it's wrong, and I didn't overcome Meitzah, and I committed it with intent. Two levels of sin. Our Father told us to tell you, Sana Pesha Achecha v'chatatam. We are, first of all, your Achecha. And we're mentioning what we did to you was, we did it out of guilt. We did it out of guilt. Pesha. So if we did it out of guilt, why is there Chet mentioned here? Why is there Chet mentioned here? Anyone understand this?
Is it because it led to a bunch of other things happening to him that they didn't intend?
Good trial. One second, sir. One second. Okay. You're saying that it led to Chet afterwards. Here it is. Gentlemen, I'll ask you afterwards, did Yaakov know about the sale of Yosef by the brothers? Is it not being alluded to here? Think about that, but I want to go back to Pesha and Chet. Okay, they're saying, yes, we did a crime. We were cruel to you. We did a crime against you, and we did evil by selling you. But everything was what? Out of Chet. What does that mean? Misjudgment. Do you remember how we studied this case a few weeks ago? That they misevaluated, they misjudged their brother. They didn't have evidence.
Maybe it's rather Chet on the board.
Chet. It's right here. Chet, ta, tet, aleph. Chet. Chet, you can see it in the source there. In other words, therefore, what are they asking? We're your brothers. And therefore, what are we asking for you to do? Sana, forgive us. This is statement number 1. They're sending shlichim to talk to Yosef to say, our Abba commanded you to forgive us, please, of the pesha of your brothers, which in the end we acted out of chait. Whereas, can you compare it to the second statement? Sana lefesha avdei elokei avicha. Is the second statement the same statement as the first statement? If it is, tell me yes. If it's not, what's different? Here it is. Sana lefesha avdei elokei avicha. Do you see any differences? Number 1, here we're called what? Your brothers. And here we're called servants. Of who?
Father of God. Well, it's like,
The God of your father.
your father's God.
Right? And here, what about what type of crime did we do here?
Just pesha
Just pesha and not
and not hate.
chait. Okay, what's going on here? What's going on here? Who is the second statement for? Can you see who the second statement is from? Gentlemen, the first statement, who's behind these words?
Servant.
No, the first statement. Who's commanding?
Yaakov.
Yaakov. The second is their initiative. From Abba's point of view, we're your brothers. We have fraternity. We did a pesha, but we misjudged. From our point of view, we did a crime. We did a crime to you. But we're asking you to forgive us on whose behalf? That we are what?
Servants of
Servants
God.
of God.
We're the servants of God. In other words, we want to be forgiven because we're servants to the God of your Father. In other words, we have to publicize God's oneness. Here we're not talking out of fraternity. My dear friends, this message, did we see anywhere in the psukim that the Father knew what happened?
No.
But you know what? But they're saying this is what Abba said.
Mm-hmm.
So this statement suggests what? That Abba did find out.
Yeah.
But we never saw it. So on the one hand, remember the Chumash is not a storybook. It's not a Sefer Sipurim. We don't know if it really indeed was told or not. But do you know what Chazal say? By the way, what is the answer? Before I get to Chazal, what is the answer of Yosef?
He cries.
So is there an answer?
None of those.
Are you all looking in 17? Is there an answer or not?
Wait.
We don't see an answer by Yosef to the shlichim of the sons. Now,
Cried.
he cries. Why is he crying? Does it say why he's crying?
No.
You're the brothers.
I hope you tell us.
You're the brothers. Your shaliach comes back and says, we told Yosef exactly what you told us. The first statement of the father and the second statement of you. And he cried. How the brothers interpreting the crying? Uh-oh.
Maybe he really didn't want to forgive us.
So excuse me, Rock.
1 second, sir. I want to get an answer. What is the crying about? Is the crying about now? Now it's for real? Abba, Yosef knows that Abba knew. Yosef knows that Abba knew about this. How does Yosef feel in his heart? Even though Abba's dead?
Oh, like he didn't come to save him, or he didn't look for him.
Ken, but how would Yosef now feel? Abba's dead and apparently he knew about this.
I mean,
Maybe he was
What?
go for it. No, please.
maybe he was afraid that they start to think wrong again,
Okay.
or maybe but it was
What else?
why he was.
What this report back to Yosef? What could it be awakening by Yosef?
Would it be wrong to say like perhaps he feels some sort of like betrayal?
Who feels betrayal?
Yosef. Because if Yaakov Avinu knew about this and never said anything, never did anything, it's kind of like I forgot there's like a psychological like a name for it. It's like when you're lying by like omitting information and when
Okay.
you're not communicating everything that you
Okay.
know.
So, but how would you, if you were Yosef, and now it's clear to you that Yaakov knew about this, and he commanded, we had to tell Yosef.
I feel like deceived.
Okay.
I
Okay.
mean,
What else do you
probably
feel?
is like upset that he didn't spend more time with his father.
Maybe.
Or that like there was no
Maybe. What about the brothers? The brothers are clearly afraid of what? Of retribution.
I'd be
And
wondering.
now Yosef knows that they're afraid of retribution and they're asking for forgiveness. Now, either it can awaken the feelings of retribution, or it could be awakening, oy chaval. I tried to show them that I love them all the time, and I tried to show them that I'm with them all the time, and they yet still think that I want to get back at them. Now, we don't really know about the crying, why the crying of Yosef, why he's crying. However, it's clear that no other shlichim are sent, and the brothers are suggesting that we become avadim. Look at the next pasuk. Yudchet, they don't send any messengers. They themselves go to Yosef. Vayachu gam echav. Vayiplu lefanav, they fall. Vayomru, and they say, Hinenu lecha avadim. We're your servants. So we don't know why he cried. It's certainly clear that the brothers are suspecting retribution. Okay? And the brothers don't rely on the shlichim themselves. And they now suggest, and they come to them, they know that we need kapara. We did a bad thing. And therefore we're willing to be atoned by if you're willing to accept us as what? As avadim, which is like a midah keneged midah, right? Because he was sold Yosef as a slave. And now we're willing to sell ourselves as a slave. What we have not dealt with is the following question that we don't know. I don't know if we can solve. Did Yaakov Avinu really know about the sale of it? It could very well be. The Torah doesn't say it. Yaakov went to his spiritual world without knowing. If that's the case, what are they saying in the name of Yaakov? Maybe they're lying. What do they want to get out of this lie? What are they asking for from Yosef the brother?
To spare their lives.
Spare their lives. We want peace. Are you allowed to lie according to Jewish law? For the purpose of shalom, mutar lishanot.
What's with
Chazal, mutar is permitted. Chazal say that you're allowed to change, which means to lie, change the word, change the truth, on behalf of peace. This one of the understandings of Chazal in this case, that they made up a story that our father knew about this, and our father commanded us to tell you. Listen to two opinions in Chazal. Are you allowed for the purpose of peace, or is it even a mitzvah? There's a sugya in Masechet Yoma, Pei Zayin. It's regarding Yom Kippur. Listen to this. Amar Rabbi Eli, b'shem Rabbi Elazar ben Shimon. Rabbi Elazar ben Shimon is the son of Rashbi. Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. So Rabbi Eli says this, the name of Rashbi. Mutar, I repeat the first word. Mutar la'adam lishanot bidvar shalom. You're allowed to change, meaning lie, on behalf of peace. Shene'emar, listen to the source the Gemara brings. Avicha tziva. Your father commanded us to tell Yosef, forgive us. According to the Gemara, the father never said this at all, ever. They made it up. And why are they doing it? In order to make peace between Yosef and themselves. In other words, in the Gemara, this episode that we're reading and learning about is brought here to prove that on behalf of peace, you're allowed to lie.
That's what
That's,
I said at the beginning. That they're bluffing.
thank you.
Oh,
Ravi Ila'ah says the opinion of Rabbi Resnick, Yaakov Resnick. Opinion number 2, Rabbi Natan. Rabbi Natan in that Gemara says mitzvah, meaning not only is it permitted to lie on behalf of peace, but it's even a level of a command and a mitzvah. As a proof, Rabbi Natan brings the behavior of the prophet Shmuel with the direction of Hashem, as it appears in Shmuel Aleph, when Shmuel is en route to anoint David as king. Shmuel prepared an alibi, a story to lie about the objective of his trip. Why? Because he was afraid of the reaction of Shaul, who was the present king, and he might harm Shmuel. Here in the Beit Midrash of Rabbi Ishmael, they said the following after this case, that Shmuel was getting ready to lie to save his life. He brings the famous case of Avram Avinu. We learned about it 2 months ago. The angels come to visit Avraham to announce that Sarah will have a child 1 year from now. This is right after the episode where Avram did the Brit Milah. Okay? And in that case, Sarah, Avram says to Sarah, I want you to go to Sarah and say, Va'ani zakante. In spite of the fact that I'm very old, I, Sarah, I still conceive. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu changes the wording and says, not in order not to insult Sarah, Vaduni zaken, my husband, my master, he is zaken. So we see a change in the language in order that to be shalom bayit between the two. Gentlemen, we can understand from this case, whether it's a mitzvah or it's permitted, the brothers, according to Chazal, made up a story, and they acted with wisdom through a shlichim, and the shlichim said very, very slight differences in their father's words and a difference in their own words. Here, it's pesha and chait. There, it's pesha only, and there were avadim, and here were brothers. We see that they're afraid. The brothers are afraid. And they send messengers, and they make up this alibi, this story, in order to make peace. Yosef's answer? He's crying. We don't understand why they're crying. Could be that, wow, they're still mad, they're still suspicious of me, they still have a conscious problem. And look at the words of Yosef, what further he says. In Pasuk Yutet, straight to the eyes of his brothers. Vayomer lem Yosef, al tira'u. Don't be afraid. Ki atachat Elokim ani? Am I instead of God? Am I someone to judge? We see how God-fearing Yosef is. And what does he say furthermore? He repeats something he said when he revealed his identity. In verse 20, Vatem, and you, chashaftem alai ra'ah. You thought bad about me. That's why you put me into you misjudged me. But you know what? Elokim chashava letova. Remember, we talked about freedom of choice. Yet Hashem uses our choices to design and formulate his plan. God had a plan to bring our brothers down to a land which is not ours, to begin the famous Brit Bein HaBitarim, where God is going to formulate a new nation in a land which is not ours. We'll be strangers and then servants and then be afflicted. And God did this for the good. Lima'an, so that Aso kayam mozel lachyot amram. Ve'ata al tiro, don't be afraid. Anochi achalkel etchem v'tapchem. You know what? If Yosef has to feed them, and that's what I'm ready to do, what does this support? What midrashic idea does this support? That once Yaakov passed away, what came back?
Hate.
I can't hear you.
Yosef's hate for them.
No, he's saying, I'm going to support you. I'm going to feed you.
The famine.
The famine came back. This pasuk supports that the brothers have no means to help to self-support. And Yosef, I'm going to support you. This supports the midrash that says that once Yaakov arrived, the famine stopped, even though it was only the second year. And now that Yaakov has passed away, the famine came back. Okay? Mazal tov. Everything's okay. Therefore, he's saying, I'm going to support you. Menachem otam. He comforts them. Vaydaber libam. And this is the ending of it. Yosef sees grandchildren in Mitzrayim. And then Yosef says to his brothers, is about to die. Vayomer Yosef elachav. All we have is one pasuk. I'm going to die, but God's going to remember you. Look at the words. Velokim pakod yifkod etchem. Which word is doubled up? Pakod. Look at me. Natan, your commander in the army is called a? Very good. And you're called his pakud, right? He's the mefaked and you're his pakud. We have a chumash of the 5 chumashim called chumash pikudim. What does that mean? Which is pikudim? Which chumash is called nicknamed pikudim?
Bamidbar.
Very good, Bamidbar. Why? Because we have sensai there. There's a consensus. There's a counting of Israel. There's a counting of Israel. Now listen to this. With this, I'm ending my shiur. As we're coming to the finale of Chumash Bamidbar, let's read together, everyone, the last pasuk. Together, out loud. 1, 2, 3. Vayamod Yosef ben Me'ah ve'eser shanim vayechantu oto vayisem ba'aron b'Mitzrayim. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazak. Some say chazak. Some say chazak. Let's strength, and let us become stronger. Yoav says to David, one of the wars. So we're going to say chazak, chazak, v'nit chazak. My dear friends, pakod yifkod. Remember this. This is the divine term for geula. Pakod yifkod. I know the word lifkod is to remember. Lifkod can mean to count. Chumash pikudim is called the book that we have accounting the beginning, the second year, and accounting at the end of the book in the 40th year. A mifkad is accounting. A mifaked is a command because he's counting the soldiers. You are a pakud. You are counted to be from him. Pakod yifkod. Right now, we're a big mishpacha. We're 70 plus people right now in Mitzrayim. When we reach a supernatural number that God decided, called 60 myriads, 600,000 men at the age of 20 and above. When we reach that, we're going to notice the words, pakod yifkod. That's the time to be counted. That's the time to be geula. Once we're a nation and we have our metaphysical makeup of a few million people, 600,000 men, then will come the time of the geula. He, Yosef, says to the brothers, God wanted Yosef to die before his brothers. He didn't outlive his brother, even though he's the youngest of the youngest. He says, you know what God's going to do to you? Pakod yifkod etchem. He's going to redeem you. Ve'ela etchem min haaretz hazot. Don't have any despair. God's going to take you up from this land to which land? Ela haaretz asher nishba l'Avram Yitzchak Yaakov. I think that Yosef was faithful and loyal to the values of his father in the most way. Because the greatest fear we were learning here in the book, in the Parshat Vayechi, is Yaakov's concern of the galut, and that his family will assimilate, and we will not bring to fruition the plan of God, of a Klal Yisrael to be formulated. Yosef, he relays this concern to his brothers. God's going to redeem us. He's going to take you out of here, and he's going to bring you back to the land that God swore to Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazak. Shakov, gentlemen, to all your great learning.
So
Thank you,
excuse me,
Rabbi.
sir.